Guys, welcome to Money Chats. I'm excited. This is something we just started. I'm pretty pumped to do this. Just talk with other entrepreneurs that are out there hustling, grinding, doing cool stuff, and we get to have a conversation and connect on that. So today, I'm going to be chatting with my buddy Chris Taylor. Don't let him surprise you, folks. He's my Asian buddy with one of the most Southern accents of anyone I know, and I'm excited to talk to him. So sit back, relax, hang out, and we're coming on in just a second. Oh, you caught me with my hot stuff. Let's bring him on. Let's get it going. Chris, what's up, dude?
Man, I was breaking it down with that music.
I saw that. I saw y'all scream. Beep, 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 beep. Is that beat good or what, man? It's kind of fun, isn't it?
That's good. I was just glad you didn't have me on live while I was dancing.
I should have popped you in when I saw you. I saw you off the screen jamming, man. I should have popped you in. How's it going, dude?
Doing great. Thanks for the little intro, telling everybody, you got a country Asian boy in here now.
I didn't want anyone to be like blown away, crazy surprised when they heard your Southern accent. Was like, dude, that is cool.
So I used to buy stuff on Craigslist a lot, and that, I'm sure we're probably one of these hustles. That was a hustle back in the day. You buy stuff on Craigslist, sell it online. Well, the thing about Craigslist back in the past was you didn't talk to people. They didn't see your face. The only way you talked to them was over the phone normally. So I remember buying this PS3 or something like that. And I called the guy and I'm like, hey, I said, I'll meet you wherever. And so I had a jacked up truck at that point. And so I call him. We're like, I go to meet up. Well, I get out the truck and he's like, Chris? No, like, yeah, man, this is Chris.
It's me, man. What's up, buddy?
Yeah.
Oh, that's funny, man. Yeah.
So it doesn't happen too often now because Facebook Messenger, they see your face, but they're probably still like, how does that voice come out of that face?
Yeah, man. What man, is Craigslist still a thing? You think there's still like opportunity there? I know you have to.
I'll be honest, I probably haven't been on Craigslist in 2 years.
Yeah. Like if you sell something today, if you flip something or whatever, like, are you doing it on Facebook Marketplace?
That's the only place that I post anything.
Gotcha.
I had an old like instrument panel for a truck that I bought that I flipped a while back, and I thought the instrument panel was what was wrong, but it wasn't anyway. So I have this brand new instrument panel, and I even put it on eBay and can't sell it. Well, I put it on Facebook Marketplace and sold it in 2 days.
Holy mackerel. Yeah.
Just crazy. So yeah,
Holy
Facebook
mackerel.
Marketplace is the only place that I sell anything.
What about like
personal or flip?
Yeah. What about like so the other one that are kind of related, like what's it called, like Virage Sale? Like there's other apps that are kind of like, have you heard of Virage Sale? And there's another one. I think they keep getting bought up by each other or something.
I think so. So there used to be, and I'll have to look on my phone. There was one that I used, and it was the app was really hard to navigate, but I sold a couple things on there, but I think they got bought out by Virage Sale or something like that. I know they got bought out, so their name changed, and I don't even remember what they are.
Yeah, I had two of them as well. I never really sold anything myself. Well, or maybe I did. I don't know. But yeah, Facebook Marketplace has been pretty solid for me too. Well, dude, let me rewind back. So if people watch this, and we just kind of got straight into our conversation. So
we did.
people are gonna be like, what? Like, wait a minute, like, who is this guy?
I'm missing something.
yeah, we're missing something, man. Like this show, like the way I'm doing this, it's not exactly like an interview because I feel like those aren't as interesting, but I do want people to know like, who the heck are you? So like introduce your, give the whatever, the 60-second version or whatever you want, man.
Yeah. All right. So, hey, my name's Chris Taylor. You can see it like down on the screen over here. But I own a place called CC's Inflatables in Theodore. I bought it about 6 years ago. We do party and event rentals. I also own a publishing company. We have a local newspaper that runs to South Mobile County, goes to every home and business for free, supported by ads, and it's just packed full of local news and local events and for the community. We also do some other things as well to make the ends meet, and hopefully we'll share about those as well. But been in the Mobile area pretty much all my life, and just I love this area. I think I really never want to move from Mobile. I love the city. I love the country. I live in Grand Bay, but I spend a lot of time in Mobile, and it's my happy place. We like to go on vacation, but we always love to come back home. So, and I like to see how things are going here, and people thriving. It just makes my heart full of joy. So, that's kind of my little couple years background.
I love it, man. It's funny when I threw up CC's Inflatables, a website on here. So I hadn't been to the site in some time, but that's so funny. This the statement right at the top is so smart. In the stress now, man. That is I read that earlier, and I was like, dude, that's such good copy, like marketing copy to put on your website. That's the first thing people see. I thought that was.
Because what do you think and this is the way I've done web design for, oh my gosh. I remember when I was at University of Mobile, I was interested in web design, but I didn't really want to buy a book and learn HTML. So there was a lady that taught our computer course, and she told us, she said, hey, next semester, they're making me teach a web design class. How many of you would be interested in taking that? Well, I raised my hand, and like 4 other people raised their hand. Well, we all taught the class with each other. Like, she had never taught web design before.
Wow.
So we were like the class that helped her build the class. So we learned Microsoft Front Page. I don't know if you remember that.
I've heard of it, never touched it. Yeah, no idea.
Yeah, it was awful. but we learned about HTML. All of us got A's in the class because we were all learning with her.
Yeah. She couldn't give you anything less than an A.
No.
Yeah.
I mean, there was like literally no tests. It was like every day we'd go in the class and just work through this big front page book with her, and like created tests and created activities. And so from that point, I started building websites, and just kind of learned over the years, whether it be from friends or the internet or Udemy classes that I've taken. They say the first thing you need to figure out, you need to tell the customer is you need to solve a problem. And so with CC's Inflatables, one of the problems that people have with throwing a party is it's extremely stressful. There's so many different things that you need for a party. You need food, you need activities, you got to send out invitations. So we, as a business, we want to come in and tell everybody, hey, we want to end the stress. We want to take care of the fun. So let us bring the fun, and then you can deal with everything else.
Which is smart, man. No, I mean, I think that's a smart message on your site. Plus, you want to make some apparently giant bubbles, dude, at your parties. Yes. That's a lot of foam, man. Is that normal? Is that normal? Or is this like a specific foam party?
That's not normal. So, okay. Right. I've got a friend that owns IXL Realty, yeah, something like that. Geraldo.
Yep.
And so he calls me and he says, hey, one of my buddies is throwing a party, and I want to just bring this as a surprise. And let me see if I can find I forget his name. But anyways, he said that just come and bring the phone party, and we're gonna have a lot of fun. I want to do it as a surprise for him. So I said, okay, cool, sounds good to me. Well, I get there, and there's like 4 kids there. That's it. There's not many kids at all. And all the adults, they're just, they don't want to jump in the foam. So that's literally about 30 minutes of just straight foam. And it was so my tent, I raise it up to about 9 feet high.
Oh
So
wow.
like
Okay.
it's literally it's 8 feet high. And I mean, it probably takes up a 60-foot area, 8 foot high. I mean, it's 60 by 60. It was a lot of foam.
That's a lot of
So
foam.
yeah,
As
normally
so,
it's not like that because people are playing in it.
yeah. I got you. I got you. Which is kind of interesting. So, like, I don't know. You may have told me this before, but I don't know. How did you get into like the hustle of that? Like, I feel like it started as kind of a hustle, but now, man, you every time I see you posting online. You have all these new things just came in, and we're selling these old ones, and we're getting this new stuff in, which is super cool. Is this a business that, yeah, like what kind? Let's say someone listens to this and they're like, oh man, like interesting. I could start this inflatable business in my town or my city or whatever. Like, what are your thoughts on it? Like, how'd you get started? And should other people do
So
it or?
so I was a youth pastor for about 7 years, and there was a guy that went to our church that we rented the inflatables from. He was older; he was in his 60s, so he was, as far as physically, like this is a very physical job.
Yeah.
Everything's heavy, so he was just getting to the end of his, what his body could handle. His son really wasn't in a position to take over. Um, and so he came to me 2 years prior to me leaving the church, and he said, "Hey, you should really buy this business. Makes a lot of money." I said, "Okay, that's great." So he gave me a price. He was like, "I'll sell it to you for 250,000." And I was like, "Dude, I'm a youth pastor. I don't have $250,000." so
Right.
anyways, so every time he came to me, it was like in November, which is our slow season, the starting of our slow season. It's normally like March to October we're cranking.
Makes
So
sense.
he makes his money, and then he's like, okay, well, now I'll sell. So the
Yeah.
next year
Yeah.
he comes to me, he's like, hey, won't you just buy the stuff and then you go put it at your house? I'm like, well, I don't have a place to put all this stuff. And so that year passes. Well, the third year comes about. It's actually the last year that I was on staff at the church, and not I didn't buy it and then leave it. It just kind of worked out in the same time frame.
Uh huh.
And so he comes to me with like this deal that I just couldn't refuse, and I'll share it. It's So he came to me and he said, "Hey, come sit down." I said, "Oh, what's up?" He said, "I want to sell you the business." I said, "You've been trying to sell me that business for 2 years." And he says, "Well, I got a deal you can't refuse." He said, "I'll sell you the business for $60,000." I said, "Okay, that sounds great, but I don't have $60,000 to buy that business." And he says, "Well," he said, "I'll sell it to you for over 5 years, no interest,
He financed
$1,000
it.
a month."
Oh my
And I was
gosh,
like,
that's awesome.
"Awesome." He said, "And I'll let you stay in my building for 5 years rent free." So I was like,
Holy smokes,
I mean,
man.
this is a 3,000 square foot warehouse. Um, so I mean, I looked at it like I wanted to tell him right then, like yes, but I was like in my church mode, so I was like, yeah, let me pray about it.
100%. Yeah. a
Yeah,
hundred
but
percent.
so pretty much at that point, I was like, yeah, God's
But
saying
your
yes.
spirit was screaming, "Yes, man, let's go, dude! Like, let's
Yeah.
roll." Yeah, yeah. But no, man, yeah,
So
that's cool.
yeah, so March 2016, I bought the inflatable business with the thought that it would make 120,000 gross a year.
Okay.
It did not. So
It did not. Okay.
no. So for 2 years, I'm kind of giving you the short version and a long version kind of together, but for 2 years we didn't make a dime.
Okay.
And he pitched it the whole time. Yeah, I'm making 120 every year. I'm making so much money. And it just, I don't know who was doing his books, but
Yeah.
there was like, I'm good at math.
Yeah.
And that was, it was such a good deal that I didn't take the time to really dive into the books. I
Yeah.
just took his word for granted. And I was like, hey, I'm gonna roll with it. So for 2 years, we didn't make a dime. And but the third year we started making some good money, and it's been growing like 65% every year since then. So
Wow.
and this year we're we're hoping to maybe hit that 70% increase. We're getting close, so it just depends on
Wow.
how these next couple months do. So it's been very good.
So,
I think for someone else, you asked the question, like if somebody else wanted to get into it,
yeah,
I think um, one thing that I didn't do was I think they need to do more due diligence than I did.
got it.
Like do more market research, find out who's in your area, find out, you know, look at the bank records of the business, and really dive into seeing, hey, is this something that is making money, or is this something that does have potential to make money? Because there's a difference. Like there's a difference between something that's making money and something that has the potential to make money.
Right.
So
Do you,
and
was
the diff
go ahead.
the difference can be how much money that you have to invest in it. So that's kind of where it is.
No, that's was the seller being like not upfront about the information, or do you think he was just like kind of oblivious to the actual numbers of the business when he
I,
sold it
I
to you? Or
I really think at one, I don't, maybe at one point he got close, or
yeah,
maybe he was just like doing an average of like the bigger months in the summer.
got it,
um
got it.
but I mean, I crunched numbers that after that first year, and I was like, how did he make 120K? There's no way. And we're talking about gross, we're not talking about profit.
Yeah,
So, we made I'll tell you, we made 50,000 the first year gross. And
gotcha.
like I paid a guy 30,000 to run
Yeah,
it.
exactly,
So,
exactly.
you
Yeah, you
know,
had a business to run. Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
yeah, so and I was still a youth pastor at that time, and I was doing other things as well, but I was thinking to myself, I was like, there's no way that this guy is making 120K. And so what I found out is it was partly the reason why we wasn't making much money was because his inventory was extremely old. And there were things that we were having to retire, that we were having to constantly fix.
yeah,
Um, and the business model that he had built was not conducive to really what could be made. So there was a lot of changes that we made, and I mean we've blown that number away, which is great.
yeah,
But
man.
it's taken a lot of work.
Well, have you thought back to compare, like, hey, let's say I wanted to start this business from scratch. How would that have compared to someone that financed you, zero interest, gave you the space? Like, if you were to, have you ever done that? Have you crunched the numbers and said, man, if I were to have launched that business, it would have costed me, X?
I've honestly I've never thought about that. That's a good
Yeah.
point.
Yeah.
Um, I it would have looked much different.
Hmm.
I don't think I would be at the point that I'm at now if I would have launched it alone in 2016
Yeah.
without an existing business. Now, it may have looked, uh, it may have even looked different. I may have even quit it because there's I feel like there's these gaps, and it's almost like I've owned a restaurant as well too, but there's these gaps to
That's right.
where like if you stay small as a restaurant, and I use a restaurant as an analogy because everybody understand, like more people understand like how a restaurant works. Like if you got a little mom and pop restaurant, it's just like mom and pop, mom cooks, pop serves, kind of like that. And look, if you're mom and pop and it's the other way around, don't get offended.
Yeah. 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 Exactly.
but you get what I'm saying. So you keep expenses down, you don't have payroll, the only expense is it's just you guys working. So you have more profit. Well, then you get to a point where you grow and you have to start having some employees. So that starts cutting into your profit. Well, and then there's this gap where you're not, it's almost like not worth it because you've got to pay so many other people. But once you get over that, you crest over that, then there's another like just landfill of money that you can make with your existing employees. Well, there's always these next step ups.
Yeah.
So I think I would have hit those steps pretty hard if I would have started by myself from nothing. And I've seen people do that, and and I normally buy them out.
Yeah,
uh,
yeah.
um, I bought out a guy this year that was in was actually in Agricola, Mississippi. He had 10 inflatables,
Wow.
which
Okay.
10 inflatables is not a lot, but it's not a little.
Yeah.
Like 4 or 5 is easy to manage. You can, 4 or 5. There's a lot of people that own 4 or 5. They
Got it.
make 1,000, $1,500 a weekend, and it's they're working it themselves. That's
Yep.
total profit for them because it's just them. But when you get to like 9 or 10 to 15, you got to start hiring people.
Yep.
Like there's just not enough time to clean them, to rent them out, to make the deliveries, and so then you start seeing that number just come down as far as profit. And so a lot of people, when they get to that point, they're like, I don't think this is what I was what I wanted to get into, and then they just sell. So that's what this guy did. Him and a buddy just they got a little too big for them to handle for just weekend stuff, and they couldn't handle it. So they were just like, well, let's just sell it. And I kind of jumped in and I bought all of their inventory.
So when you bought their inventory, did you acquire like any branding or phone number or anything like that they had, or just like straight up purchasing their equipment?
I could have, but I didn't want it. I didn't want
Got it.
the Agricola area. It's about an hour drive away, and that would spread us a little too thin. So I just wanted their inventory. So
you're buying their inflatables basically for a good price.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And he would have given me that stuff, but it wasn't something I desired.
Gotcha. Now, did you that's really interesting, man. Yeah, I'd forgotten about the restaurant. We had talked about that. Like I was saying this before we went live, that you and I have so much in common about like running different. You run a newspaper. I run a local media website that we've expanded into a magazine, a print product, and it's just all been like evolution of that brand. I feel like a lot of what you and I do is like evolving. Is like evolving stuff, evolving ideas, taking shots at stuff, being like, okay, this makes sense. Like, sounds fun. Let me give it a go, kind of thing. Actually, let me say this. I almost forgot about this, man. I go needing deadgum pine straw at my previous house that we sold. I think I go online being like, hey, I need some pine straw. I see that doggone Chris Taylor here bought like a trailer of pine straw. I was like, yeah, I got you, man. That we're selling it this much a bale. That doggone pine straw business, man.
A roll. We sell it by the roll.
Exactly. By the roll. Are you? Do you guys still do that or no?
Yeah. So
holy smokes. Okay.
So I got into this business because I was actually trying to purchase another party rental business in Waynesboro, Mississippi. So it was a much bigger business. They'd been in business for about 30 years. And they were wanting to sell. They'd pitched me some offers, and so we had gotten into an agreement. Well, I found out that he had a 18-wheeler trailer full of straw at his shop, and I was like, "What do you have straw for?" Which he owned a landscaping company as well.
Okay.
So it was like, okay, well, yeah, you deliver straw when you go cut people's grass, like so. It kind of went in, and he was like, "No," he said, we don't do landscaping. And I was like, well, what do you have pine straw for? He says, we just sell it to the public. And so their landscaping company is really not a landscaping. They just cut grass. And I asked him, I said, well, what are the margins on that? And so he told me he said, we buy it for around $8 a roll and we sell it for 13. And I was like, well, that's pretty good margin for just a trailer sitting there. So I asked him, I said, well, so I'm starting to like think of ways that I can do it, but I don't have a place to store it. I mean, you need an 18-wheeler trailer. So I asked him, I said, hey, well, where did you get the 18-wheeler trailer? Well, he said, well, the company actually lets us use it when we buy it. I said, well, they leave the 18-wheeler trailer there? Like as long as it takes? He's like, yeah. So I said, well, let me call them. He said, well, they may not be able to do it because they're very specific on territorial rights. And I'm not sure if there's somebody in Mobile that has their territory or not. They're out of Florida.
Gotcha.
So I called him. Really nice guy. Began talking to him. He's like, well, where are you located? I said, well, I'm located in Theodore. He doesn't have anybody in like a 60 or 70 mile radius of where we're at. So he said, well, I'll give you territorial rights to the pine straw. I won't sell to anybody else in that radius. And if anybody comes to us, we'll push them straight to you. So I took a chance. An 18-wheeler trailer is about $6,000.
Yeah, I was gonna ask how many bales come in a trailer.
700 rolls.
Okay.
So 700 rolls. Sometimes a little bit more depending on how many they can, or depending on the size of the trailer. Sometimes they can fit 770, but that's the most I've ever got. Was 770.
Yeah, so right around $6,000. Gotcha. So
yeah.
dang.
So my thought at first was, hey, I'm gonna and there's some shipping charges in that too. But my thought was, okay, I'm gonna sell this as a retail. I'm gonna sell it for $13 a roll, and it's gonna be awesome. Well, I found out real quick that it's a huge burden to open up that trailer and to meet with customers for 2 or 3 rolls of straw.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, well, what's another way that I can, move this straw? And so I pretty much shifted the mentality, and I took all the signs off. So I don't even have signs on the trailer, and I just sell to landscapers now. So some people will buy from me that know I have straw, that are in the area, but I don't advertise to the public. It's mainly just for landscapers.
That makes sense, because those guys are buying probably a dozen plus or something rolls.
Oh yeah,
they're not buying 2 at a time. They're buying.
Oh no, a guy bought 40 this morning. So they're doing big jobs, and I give them a big discount compared to what they would pay at retail at some of the other places. So I've become very competitive with the pricing. There are some others in town that sell, but even when Lowe's or some of the hardware stores are out, they'll send them to me. So
that's wild. That's cool, man. That's a good relationship, right? Like being in a relationship with other folks.
Yeah, and it's good to be in a business that there is competition, but there's not enough supply.
Yeah.
So so when you get into those type of businesses, it's a lot easier to become partners with other businesses versus competitors. So just like in the party rental business, I mean, I went up to Blue Rents the other day and was talking to them about partnering on some things, and I had to rent some things from there because I didn't have enough myself. And we have a good relationship with them. We have a good relationship with some of the other inflatable companies in town.
Yeah.
One of probably the biggest in the Mobile Baldwin County area is Eastern Shore Inflatables. Real good friend Chris Thompson owns it. I've bought some inflatables from him. We've worked together on some things. Good friend, and those are. It's a business that there's just not enough supply, so we try to help each other out. And it just makes for a better, nicer life to not have to compete day in and day out.
Man, yeah, if you have a competitor that you can become friends with and say, hey, look, man, like, yeah, I mean, that's so good. If you can almost point people at each other when you don't have what you need, that's so much more promising and life-giving than it is feeling all like cutthroat in some business because you're fighting for the same customer or whatever. Oh my gosh. Yeah. That sounds great. Random question, switching topics, man. Are you paying attention to like crypto or NFTs or any of that stuff? Like, are you paying attention or not really?
So do you want me to give you the long version or the short version?
We can do whatever. I've got this guy, friend of mine I know, Jeremy Revis, says, Brooks, are you a cryptocurrency trader? To Jeremy, if you're still watching, my answer would be no. But this all intrigues me, and I actually am trying to. I've actually contemplated, Chris. I'm like, man, should I spend one day a week or one day every 2 weeks and just fully submerge myself into this? Like, do nothing in that day except see what's going on in the industry, because it's changing so fast and there's so much going on that I feel like if you just put your head to, if you are involved in it in some sense, and then you don't pay attention for a week, there's like new companies that sprouted up. There's new projects and you're like, what the heck, man, this is crazy. give me whatever version you have time for on that, man. Like, I think it's interesting stuff. So,
All right.
and I
So
want to talk to everyone. Like, everyone I talk to, I want to bring up like crypto, like NFTs, because like I want to learn. Like, I want to learn and kind of brainstorm on it.
So pull up your little web browser in
All
just
right.
a second and go to Twitter and then twitter.com/crypto Asian.
Oh boy, is this you? I'm assuming this is you.
Yeah, this
Wait,
is
I'm not looking.
so I don't consider myself a crypto OG, but
Okay.
I'm like maybe like a semi OG. So back in 2014, we had this business idea to mine altcoins and then sell them, and then just try to make a profit on mining altcoins, and then selling, converting them to bitcoins, and then selling the Bitcoin. We had some people that were that played poker online and that used the Bitcoin, so it was easy for us to sell the Bitcoin to them. So in 2014, me and my brother-in-law spent about $40,000 on like 18 computers, and each computer had 5 GPUs. And so I bought a shed. I had an electrician come out and set up like plugins for every computer, and I had to have two plugins for each computer, because the way we built the computers, they were all open and they were on racks, but you had to have two 1800-watt power supplies per computer to power the GPUs, because there are 5 GPUs per, maybe 4 GPUs per computer. And so I put Linux on all the computers. We built them with just Ubuntu Linux, and then we had a mining software, and we mainly put them on I think it's miningrogrentals.com.
Okay.
I'm giving you a lot of information. So we put them on miningrogrentals.com, and so people could rent my mining rigs to mine whatever they wanted. So sometimes we would set them to mine a certain coin. Sometimes we just rent them. It just depends. But it was a cool business. It just didn't make us any money, because in 2014,
that's cutting edge, man. 2014.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
I would argue that's like on the forefront of all
Bitcoin
of that.
was like less than $300.
Gotcha.
Yeah. And I have posted some screenshots on that Twitter page before, but I think the most Bitcoin that I've ever had was 48. I had 48 Bitcoin at one time.
Oh,
and
yeah. I saw you post on social media about you having Bitcoin and sold it long ago. Or most of it or whatever.
Yeah, but I mean, and look, our business plan was just to mine it and sell it, and then take the profit. And it wasn't to keep the Bitcoin. If it was just to keep the Bitcoin, then we would have just bought Bitcoin, like and just held it. So that wasn't the business plan. But when I trialed it, I built a computer with a couple GPUs, and like the profit margin was good. But at that point, early 2014, that was when Bitcoin was maybe at like $500 or $600. Well, throughout the year, it just dropped down to like low 300s. I mean, that's a huge drop from 500 to 300. So we were breaking even. I mean, my power bill, I think, was $1,200 a month. When it was normally $200 a month. So like Alabama Power actually called me and was like,
really? Okay.
Yeah, they were like, so we've seen a spike in your energy. Your power bill went from $200 to $1,200 a month. We're very concerned with what's going on with your house. Do you have something that's pulling a lot of energy? And I was like, yeah. I said, I've got some computers in my shed. And I told him, I was like I have like a server in my shed that pulls a lot of energy. So I didn't want to tell him like, hey, I've got like these mining rigs and
I'm mining Bitcoin, baby.
Yeah.
That's what's up.
But anyways, we end up stopping that, selling all the GPUs, probably losing about 10 grand and just moving on. Then years later, we see where Bitcoin is at now.
Sure, sure. Which is crazy, man. But the fact that you were willing to like give that a go, where most people wouldn't even know that that was possible, that you could mine Bitcoin, and then if people did know, most people not willing to like put up the cash and actually buy units and then actually do it.
Yeah.
So the fact that you did all that, man, is so cool, and that's why I have like mad respect for that. So that's just one, like, you giving that example. Okay, mining Bitcoin. I mean, like, some people will hear this right now and be like, what are y'all talking about? Like, and that's just one little sliver of like
Sliver.
of cryptocurrencies, of DeFi, of like, I mean, don't even get me started on like NFTs. Like, but how do you, let me ask this, do you keep up with what's going on now? And
Um,
how do you do that? And how do you decide, like, maybe if there's something you want to get involved in again, like financially?
so being a guy that like understood and that has friends in the space that help build companies, I started a in the I've since closed it down now, so you can't pull them up. But
Okay.
one of the problems when crypto was, and there's a problem today in that same way, but one of the problems when crypto was first getting started with all these altcoins was there would be a lot of like fake developers. And these developers would create this coin and they would pump it up and then they would just sell off all of what they were holding, uh, unbeknownst to the people that were buying it. So there was just a lot of
Yep.
people that were hoping that they were getting on the Bitcoin, the next Bitcoin train, and then just getting left in the dust. We call it wrecked, and it's spelled REKT. so, uh, so people were just getting wrecked, and they were. There's this other term, fear of missing out. So everybody was
Yep.
FOMOing into purchasing these altcoins. So I created this thing called proof of developer. So I would actually interview these developers. I would credential them. I would get they would send me their driver's license. They would send me their passport information. I would keep all that stuff secure. And then I would in turn talk to the exchanges like Bittrex is one of the exchanges that I had a good relationship with. And before they would post their coin on their exchange, like I would give them a what I call a POD rating, proof of developer rating. So
Interesting.
the like highest rating was like a 5-star plus rating, and that was if they gave all this information, and we had a video chat that people could see their face and things like that. So because of the people not knowing who created Bitcoin,
Yep.
people not knowing who created there's just there was a lot of scams being built. So people wanted to know like who was the creator of these new coins and what was their outlook. So so those are the things we did back then, and it helped at a point. There's probably that won't work today, but there's probably something that could work in that realm because there are still these coins and these NFTs and things like that that are being developed, and they're just scams. Um, and I haven't put a lot of time into that sphere, but those are just some of the things that we did then to
I
kind of
had
help the community.
yeah, man, I had no idea I had no idea that was even a project that you put together. That's really cool. What in the world got the developers to trust you to like send you their info? Like, how did they
I was the first one to create the platform,
got it. Yeah.
um, to give that proof,
Yeah.
and I had the relationship. I created a relationship with these exchanges. Now, one of the things that I did, even though my alias is Crypto Asian, like it wouldn't take long to figure out who I really was. Like
Gotcha.
people, you could just go in the Twitter feed and find out, oh, that's Chris Taylor. He lives in Mobile, Alabama. So there wasn't like this random guy. It was just that was who I was in the sphere. So
Gotcha.
I was very involved on the forums, Bitcoin Talk forums. Very involved in just I had a good following. I still got a decent following, but I kind of got out of it for a while. I've got a little less than 10,000 followers on Twitter. On that crypto Asian, but
That's crazy, man. I mean, like I didn't even I didn't even know you did that, and I feel like I know a lot of your projects and stuff you do, man. And so like that's crazy. So like in today's world, 2020. So that was I guess when you were big on that and doing the developer project, like vetting developers. What year kind of range was that?
yeah, same time that I was doing the
14
mining, probably
ish.
14 through 16, I would
Gotcha.
say.
So that's like 5 years ago. So to just think of how far like the crypto, the whole industry, basically, I don't even like
It's just become
it's on a complete different realm than 5 years ago.
yeah,
Right.
it is, and it's not.
Okay.
The technology has increased a lot, I would say, but it really hasn't. I mean, everything's built on Bitcoin's foundation, like the blockchain. So that's what Bitcoin's built on. So everything still has that foundation of the blockchain technology. But there's just been so many things that have been added to it to make it more secure, to make it safer, to make it cheaper.
Yep.
And it's just become more public and more
Yep.
used. I mean, it's so much easier nowadays with, I mean, I was in it before Coinbase existed.
Yeah, exactly.
And you have
a publicly traded company for those listening. I
right,
mean, like,
right,
yeah,
yeah.
like,
I mean, we were, it was really difficult to buy Bitcoin at that point. I mean, the only way that the best way to get Bitcoin was to mine it. And
yep.
so you had to know what to buy. You had to know how to code.
Crazy.
I mean, there was just so much, so now it's just like, well, I can just buy it with my credit card.
Every financial institution now is getting involved where you can purchase Bitcoin.
And that's probably the biggest thing that makes if you can make anything easily accessible, then it's worth more.
Yep.
So I mean, people talk about like the guy that sold his 15,000 Bitcoin for 2 pizzas. I don't know if you've ever heard of that before.
Yeah, yep. I've heard the story.
And well, I mean, back then there was just no way that people even knew that existed. Well, today,
Exactly.
it's talked about in the media, it's talked about in politics. Politics are trying, governments are trying to figure out how to regulate it. So the more and more it's talked about, the more and more it's going to be, whether it's bad or good news, it's still news. So
exactly,
it's still being talked about.
You know what's interesting with that story? I just realized this. I've heard the story of the guy selling all the Bitcoin for the pizza. I've never heard of the pizza guy who was like, yeah, whatever. I mean, did he go and lock those up and actually, I mean, something tells me that those are lost forever anyway, even on his receiving end. I mean, I don't know that to be true,
know.
But
no, that would be, you could, the good thing about it is you could look it up on the blockchain.
Exactly. Which is also crazy. Yeah, for those listening, they're like, what the heck? Yeah, everything is, it's not private anymore. It's all public. Now, granted, you may not know who that user is, I guess, or what their identity per se is. But yeah, that transaction is there, right? If it's there. Yeah, man, it's interesting to me. And yeah, you're totally right about adoption. Obviously now you have countries, who's it? I guess El Salvador, a few other countries following, saying it's like, oh, now becoming like a national currency. Like that's pretty wild. That's considerable adoption, I would say, when a country says, hey, we're going to figure out how to transact in this currency. That kind of shows proof of concept that, like, okay, this can be used for an actual currency, not just some random, thing or whatever.
Most
I don't know. It's wild to me. So that's cool, man. I didn't know that about your background. So,
yeah, I think, and you mentioned about like NFTs and things like that now. I think we're going to continue seeing more and more ways that the blockchain is used to expand. I mean, NFTs that's more so on the Ethereum
Hmm.
blockchain, but it's still based on blockchain technology. So you're just going to see more and more ways for people to be able to sell assets, and it's just going to be digital assets. Now, asking me if it's something that you should invest in,
Yeah.
I'll leave that up to you. I really think that people need to do their own DD and I mean
Yep.
due diligence when I say that. Um, and I'm
Yep.
not saying that you can't make money trading NFTs. I'm not saying that you can't, and it can't be a good investment for NFTs. I would probably say for the person that is out there and they think that they're just going to make $1 million by buying $1,000 worth of uh, Shiba Inu coin.
Yep.
Um, I think they're going to be terribly, uh, uh, misinformed.
Yeah.
I just think
Disappointed.
they terribly did. That's what I'm
Your
looking for.
feelings are going to be
Disappointed.
hurt. All the above.
Very, very much so.
Yeah, yeah. I hear you, man. I definitely would not give anyone advice either on any of that. Although, I mean, I've purchased NFTs. I will say it's very interesting to me because I think I got excited when I first saw. I was like, man, there's some amazing artists. Like, the website where I've purchased NFTs is a Nifty Gateway, and
Yeah.
they have which is a cool site. It's kind of interesting story. It was like twins that made that site, and they sold Nifty Gateway is owned by Gemini, which is owned
Right.
by twins. The Winklevosses that
Yep.
that like fought it out
Had
and said
somewhat helped create
they
Facebook.
they were the inventors. They were the inventors of Facebook. And if you've seen the movie The Social Network, then
Yep.
the guy who played Mark politely told them, no, if you were going to make Facebook, you would have made Facebook, is what he told them, right?
Yep.
So but yeah, no, so I've found it just personally interesting, just because it's interesting, because I'm not super interested in art, although it's funny, so on my wall back there, I have there's two things, like Mandy, my wife Mandy, her friend made it. So
Oh,
there's
nice.
two pieces on the wall, but that's not what I find interesting. There's actually this giant gap in the middle up there. And I'm like, dude, that's a perfect place for my digital art frame where
Oh,
I will
yeah.
display my digital art, my NFTs one day.
Yep.
And so that is what I find fascinating about it, is that like I've never been an art fan before, yet like I'm like, wait a minute, it is digital art that you can say, even though it's a JPEG and can be infinitely replicated. I can say, well, yeah, but this artist has created, 5 of these, and I own one of those 5. There it
Yep.
is on my wall. And I just think that's cool. You know, uh, do I also think that 99% of the current projects are probably going to like $0? Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
like, yes, I do, but it doesn't mean I'm not excited about it, and I don't think it's cool. So
Yeah,
that's
I
kind of
can
that's kind of
I
where I
mean
stand on it.
in the same way, I can show you, of the coins of all the coins that developers that I vetted, there's like a handful. I mean, I probably did over 100. There's probably a handful that are even in existence today. Um, so
Interesting.
it's and when I say a handful, I'm like one hand, like I can count them on one hand. I mean, there's not
Actual
many at
handful.
all,
Yeah.
and it's just because their roadmap didn't work out, or people just didn't give worth to it. So it's really up to the people. It
Yep.
depends on if we give worth to it. If we give worth to a certain NFT, it's going to be worth something. If we don't,
Yep.
it won't.
Yep.
So and
And
that trend changes so fast.
exactly. Exactly. That's what I was going to say. That value can fluctuate. What has value now may not have value in the near future or long-term future, whatever. Just again, exactly what you said, depends on the value deciders.
Yeah,
I get what's the famous, the tulip bulbs or whatever, which like went crazy. Was this in the Dutch tulip thing where they like rose 1,600% or some crazy number, and then they crashed? And that's like an example that cited. I don't know. Someone decided that they were crazy valuable, and it went buku bonkers crazy, and people were trading for tulips. and then it crashed because it wasn't sustainable. People decided they weren't, didn't hold value, like
Yep.
whatever. And that can happen to anything around us at any given time, right? I guess technically, like our currency. I mean, that could, people. It happens to other countries all the time. Currencies
Definitely
can,
could.
that type of stuff. That type of stuff goes down. But we won't get down that crazy rabbit hole. Because otherwise we'll have to roll for another hour,
Oh
man.
yeah.
So
I'll
there's
share
no, go ahead.
I'll share with you one more quick side hustle that I've been doing
Love it.
lately. And I haven't jumped in it like totally. I think I'm more so turning into a collector versus
Okay.
like a side hustle, but it's so easy to get into because it's so available to everybody. Is shoes. Is
Love it.
flipping shoes. So I'm a huge Adidas fan. Like I think the Yeezys are probably some of the most comfortable shoes they out there.
Really.
So I've been buying Yeezys and Jordans and just flipping them on StockX and Goat and, well, or with other people in like Facebook groups, and it's a fun little community to be in. I don't make a lot of money. I honestly probably haven't made $3,000 or $4,000 off of it, to be honest, in the couple years that I've been doing it. But it's fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fun is such an important piece of a hustle, I think. Like, like and that leads to something we didn't even get into. I wrote down on my notepad, lifestyle business. And we didn't really talk about like why we do some of the things that we do. But I man, personally, I value if something is fun, exciting, can obviously make money to pay my family's bills and be able to help other people and stuff. And hopefully I'm not like working when I'm 90 per se. But dude, I
You
might be working
probably
with
will.
I might be working with when I'm 90, because me and Mandy were actually having the talk this morning over breakfast, talking about retirement. And I was like, what does retirement look like to you? And I mentioned Warren Buffett, and I was like, that guy is still just like rocking it because he loves it. The dude's old and is like,
But
let's go.
he loves life.
He loves life and he loves what he's doing. If it's fun, and that's why I would definitely encourage people to like, yeah, making some extra cash is important. Being solvent financially and all that. But like, man, it's so fun when you do something that's just like new, exciting, and fun, and you grow something and you see results. And I don't know. Do you share like that kind of viewpoint with me? Something tells me that we have that in
Oh
common,
yeah,
kind of.
well, and that's one of the reasons. I mean, kind of going back to where we started with Foam the Coast. I mean, it's a part of my business. Some people are always come to me and they're like, "How many businesses do you have?" Well, I'm like, "Well, they'll say something about the straw." Well, then I'll explain. I'm like, "Look, it's just an 18-wheeler on my property."
Right.
At where my party rental company is. They're like, "Well, what about Foam the Coast?" Well, I'm like, "Well, that's a party rental company, in my party rental company." I said, so
Exactly.
it's like, it's nothing different, totally different than what I was doing. But I Foam the Coast it's a ton of fun, man. When you show up it's an hour party. We show up to somebody's house and like it's an hour of just energy. We play loud music, fun music for kids. If we have an adult party, we play really fun music, dance music for them, and they just run around and have a good time.
Yeah.
And it's just like extremely enjoyable to be able to provide that for people. Um, I mean, I really, I just like, I love entertaining people. Even going back to when I was a youth pastor, I loved entertaining youth. Like I loved having youth parties. I loved when they would come to church and have a good time. And given, there was a reason we wanted them to come to church. We wanted them to get to know the Lord, but we wanted to give them a good time. We wanted to show them that, hey, we as believers in Christ could have a good time just like other people can.
Yeah.
I've always been in that mindset. I've done some comedy in the past, and I like to make people laugh. I like to have a good time. So that's just one of the things. If you don't have that mindset to where you enjoy what you're doing, man, you really live a miserable life, and I'm not,
Totally.
I don't want people to like take that to offense, but I really want people to take that to evaluate their life.
Yeah.
If they don't enjoy what they're doing, man, really evaluate what you're doing, and if it's a money reason, there's not enough money that's going to satisfy you. Um, I look, I don't make a whole ton of a lot of money now, but I'm so flexible and I love what I do. And that
Yep.
means more than any money I could have in my bank account. So
Dude, well said, man. I think for us, I think life flexibility is goal number one over any sort of increase of whatever. It's just like being able to have somewhat of a flexible lifestyle. And we work hard as well, obviously, but like just having some sort of flexibility is so valuable to me, man. And it's so important. Speaking of making people laugh, man, throwing up your TikTok page up here, which I think which we didn't even talk about TikTok at all, but I'm gonna in the YouTube description, man, I'll make sure to put a link to your TikTok account and your YouTube account. But man,
cool.
yeah, some of your stuff makes me laugh here. What's your goal with TikTok? Are you having a good time? Are you
I am, and I'm
yeah.
probably gonna have to be quick with you. I've got like
Yep.
6% left on my computer, and I forgot my charger. but
No, that's cool.
I
Yeah.
do. I
Yeah, we'll
mean,
wrap it up.
I wish I could spend more time. I've got an Evernote that's a mile long of
Yep.
ideas, but I've gotta make time for it. I enjoy. It doesn't matter to me if I get 100,000 views or 500 views. Like
Yeah.
the one guy that walks up to me in the shopping mall or at the grocery store and says, "Dude, I saw your TikTok. It was hilarious." Maybe one that I had 200 views on. Like that just
Y-
makes my day.
Oh,
Like
that's great.
I don't care about the views. If I get a lot of views, great. If I don't, but if I make one person happy, man, that means the world to me. So, that's
It's
just what it's all about.
it's kind
It's really about others, honestly.
Interesting, man. No, I like that viewpoint. Isn't it? It's kind of once you get going with it, it's so easy to make content, is it not? Like it's
It
decently
is.
easy once you learn like how the app works and everything. And man, like so I put out a bunch of stuff too, and it's just like it's just fun, man. It's kind of fun to do it. It's almost like an alter ego, you can like kind of do some other stuff, and it's
Oh,
like
yeah.
it's its own little stratosphere world over there on
Yeah,
the over there on TikTok land, dude. And no joke on TikTok, like they what did I read? They just crossed like 1 billion active users or something. I saw some
that's
article on
nuts.
that. I was like, what? I'm like, that is insane, man. It's crazy.
That's crazy, and, it's just continuing to growing. I don't think it's hit its peak.
Exactly. No, I'm totally with you, man. I'm totally with you. All right, dude. Well, we should wrap it up there. I know your
Yeah, man.
battery's dying. We're right on an hour. Man, I've enjoyed connecting with you. It's been awesome.
Yeah, it's been great. Thanks for
And
having me on.
heck yeah, man. All right, well, cool. We'll talk more soon.
Yeah, see you later.
All
Thanks,
right,
guys.
Chris.
Thanks for
See you,
watching.
bud.
All right.
Hey guys, thanks for hanging out with us. We'd love for you to share it, maybe with a friend, review it, and don't hesitate to reach out and say hello. You can connect with us and see the resources that we talk about at destroytheboxwith.us. That's www.destroytheboxwith.us. See ya.